Joining us now, National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications at the White House, retired Rear Admiral John Kirby. Admiral, good morning. Thanks for being with us again this morning. So there was a dramatic change in tone from President Zelensky over the last couple of days. He came in very angry at NATO, suggesting that it was showing weakness by not admitting. We're looking at some live pictures, by the way, right now. This is President Biden meeting with Nordic leaders. But President Zelensky was very frustrated with the idea that Ukraine was not getting guarantees, that it would not be admitted imminently to NATO. And after his meeting with President Biden, it was a complete 180. He seemed happy and grateful to the President of the United States and to the other leaders of NATO countries for the security guarantees. So what took place during that 1 hour meeting between President Biden and President Zelensky?
They had a very constructive conversation, and I know that sounds like Diplo speak, but it's the truth. It was a longer meeting than had been planned. The two really do, when they get a chance to talk behind closed doors, they really do have fruitful and productive and detailed specific discussions. And that was the case yesterday, where the president had a chance to explain to President Zelensky exactly what our thinking here was. Yes, eventual membership, security guarantees between now and then, and right now the focus is making sure that you succeed on the battlefield. He laid that all laid it all out clearly for President Zelensky, and I think President Zelensky, you could see for yourself by the tone of his rhetoric when he came out of that meeting, how much he appreciated that. And he came away, the president believes, President Zelensky came away from that discussion really, truly understanding the scope, the depth, and the sincerity of President Biden's commitment to Ukraine.
Admiral, now that the NATO summit is over, the focus will reshift back to Ukraine and to the battlefield. You mentioned it just there, the ongoing counteroffensive. Even the Ukrainians are saying, in public and in private, that it's been pretty tough going the last month. What's your expectation for the counteroffensive now as we head into the summer? Are they getting all of the supplies they need? And at what stage would the Americans, the White House, like to see more progress than the Ukrainians have made up until now?
Well, the Ukrainians themselves would like to see more progress than they've been able to make. They're running into some entrenched defenses by the Russians. The Russians have had many months now to dig in, and I mean literally dig in trenches. They have defense in depth, and defense is the stronger form of war. The Russians are taking advantage of that. For the first time now, really, the Ukrainians are the ones on the offense. They're pushing forward. The Russians are trying to hold them. And so they're running right into that. They're also having a significant issue with minefields. And it's hard enough to go through a minefield, terrestrial or maritime, just by itself. Think about trying to do that while you're under fire. And they're really in a gunfight. It's a lot of artillery back and forth. So there's a lot of vicious fighting yet to come. I think it's going to be weeks and months before we really know how successful this counteroffensive can be. But the president made it clear to President Zelensky that we're going to stay with them. We're going to keep giving them as much support as we can. Your first question about do they have what they need? We're making sure that they do. In fact, just last week, a major package was announced. I know the cluster munitions got all the headlines, but if you take a look at everything else that was in that package, you can see it's all designed to help them break through these Russian defenses.
So, Admiral, as you clearly know, I mean, the two critical elements of warfare are ordnance and logistics. And it would seem that the Ukrainians are intent on trying to cut the supply lines of the Russians down towards the Azov Sea. Given that, probably strategy, what's the story on ordnance? Can we supply enough ordnance? Are we short on ordnance here in the United States in turning it out? Can we get enough to them?
Well, it's sort of yes to both, Mike. One, yes, we can meet their needs. That's one of the reasons why the president agreed to send cluster munitions as a part of a package of additional normal, what we call unitary artillery shells, regular artillery shells, to make sure that we keep the flow going so that their howitzers don't fall silent, so that they can continue to defend themselves as we work, and we are right now, and we think over the next months work to get the production rate up of unitary artillery shells to a level where we can resupply them at a faster pace than we are right now. Their inventories are running low. And part of the reason why that is because, again, production rates, but also because we got to make sure we have enough for our own national security here in the United States and with our allies and partners. So we understand this is an issue. We're working on it very hard. And I think in coming months, you'll see us be able to go back to the supply of unitary artillery shells rather than these cluster munitions.
National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications at the White House, retired Rear Admiral John Kirby. Always great to have you on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Admiral, for your service to this country as always.
Thanks, guys. Good to be with you.